So, hello students, a very good evening to all and welcome back to Daily Current Affairs of 8th of July. So, for today's discussion, we have four very important articles. So, I took today's articles from PIB, The Hindu as well as Down to Earth. So, our first important topic will be related to India-Indonesia joint statement. So, recently the Prime Minister of India, yes, just a second. Yes. Yes, these are the four important articles for today. So first article is about India-Indonesia joint statement. So recently the Prime Minister of India have visited Indonesia. So a joint statement has been released. Second important article, so actually this article is very important from prelims as well as mains point of view. So this will be about UDAI's 2025-26 report. So basically this report will be telling us the status of school education in India. Next important article is about Mission Drishti from The Hindu, as well as the final article about Himalayan pangolin. So without any delay, let's start our discussion. So here the first, let me change the color first, just a second. Yeah. Yes. So here the first article will be about the joint statement which was released by India and Indonesia. So see, here many things are discussed in PIB, like many new initiatives which will be under discussion for next few months. So we shall not be focusing on all those things. We shall be focusing only on those things which can be specifically asked in the prelims, and even if it is important for me, we shall be discussing few other things. So first of all, if we are talking about India-Indonesia relationship, so first of all, we must know the importance of Indonesia for India, right? So here, if we discuss about Indonesia's strategic importance, the first important thing, first of all, let us focus on the location of Indonesia. Yes, is it visible? Yes, so if we focus on the location of Indonesia, so this is India, right? And here somewhere we have the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and from here starts the territory of Indonesia. So actually, Indonesia is very near to India if we consider with respect to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Next important thing is that if we consider the ASEAN countries, the 10 ASEAN countries, then in those among those countries, Indonesia is the largest economy, and India have very good trade, economic, political relationships with ASEAN countries. That's why this thing would be very important. Next thing is, it is the maritime neighbor of India. So just now we discussed that it is very near to Andaman Sea, near to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. That's why its location is very important for India. Next important thing is that Indonesia is located near the Strait of Malacca, which is considered very important choke point with respect to trade perspectives, with respect to the transport of oil, gas, all these things. That's why it is also very important. So if we see the location of Strait of Malacca, so see Malacca Strait is located somewhere here. right? So here we have Malaysia, Singapore, and from here starts the Indonesia. So it is just between. So Malacca Strait is connecting Indian Ocean as well as the Pacific Ocean. Next thing, important thing about Indonesia will be, yeah, just a second. Yes. So next important thing about Indonesia will be that Indonesia is also member of BRICS. In 2025 only Indonesia became member of BRICS and it became the 10th member of BRICS. And finally, Indonesia is also member of Indian Ocean Rim Association. So because of all these things, India has the importance of Indonesia. Now, since we discussed that Indonesia is important part near the Strait of Malacca, so let's discuss about the Strait of Malacca in brief. Yes. So if we talk about Strait of Malacca, so one thing is about the location, right? So just now we discussed about location of Strait of Malacca. So this we have Indonesia, right? And here we have Malaysia and Singapore. So somewhere here Strait of Malacca is located. So please remember Strait of Malacca is connecting which two oceans? So it will be connecting Indian Ocean as well as Pacific Ocean. Yes. Next thing is, so yes, it connects Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. Next thing is, it is one of the world's busiest sea routes. That's why it is also important. Next, it is important for India's energy imports because just now I discussed that Strait of Malacca is an important choke point. That's why it would be important for India's energy imports also. And finally, Indonesia lies at this strategic choke point. So if India would try to build any port here, if India would try to build any strategic location here, that would be very good for India. So this we shall be discussing in the next slide because India is considering to build something like that. So here comes the Sabang port. So Sabang port also becomes important from prelims point of view. So yes, just now we discussed about the Strait of Malacca, right? So this is the Strait of Malacca which is connecting Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. Next important thing is the Sabang port. So here see, from here starts the territory of Indonesia, and at the tip here it is located Sabang port. And can you see here we have Indira Point. Indira Point is the southernmost point of India. So can you see the distance is very less between Indira Point, that is southernmost point of India, and the Sabang port, which is located almost at the tip of Indonesia. So this is the Sumatra island of Indonesia. That's why India is developing this Sabang port so that it would have some kind of dominance, it would have some kind of say with respect to trade which is passing through this Strait of Malacca. So if we talk about the location of Sabang port, so it is located mainly in the Aceh province in Indonesia. So please remember, if we talk about this tip of Indonesia, so it is the Aceh province, and in this province Sabang port is located. After that, it is very near to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Just now we discussed that it is very near to Indira Point, that is the southernmost island. Next, it is close to Strait of Malacca, and India is exploring the development partnership with respect to Sabang port so that it would have some kind of say, some kind of dominance near the Strait of Malacca. Now, next very important thing which was discussed in the news was about the Prambanan temple. So what is about this temple? So the context is that both countries are trying to are trying to reconstruct this temple which is located in Indonesia. So first of all, please remember that this temple is a Hindu temple and it is located in Indonesia. So first of all, let's focus on the location. So it is located in Sleman in Yogyakarta. So where is the Yogyakarta located? Let's focus. So here Yogyakarta is located in the Java Islands. So now you have to tell me this in the comment section that what are some important islands of Indonesia. So there are various islands in Indonesia, for example, Sumatra, Java, Borneo, etc. etc. So you have to tell me name of any 5 important islands of Indonesia. So if we talk about this Prambanan temple, so this is located in Java Island, and basically this is located in Yogyakarta. So Yogyakarta is located south of Java Island. So please remember this. So where this temple is located, it is located in Sleman in Yogyakarta, which is located southern part of Java, which is an island of Indonesia. Next thing, we already discussed that this is a Hindu temple and this is largest Hindu temple complex in Indonesia. That's why India is focusing on its redevelopment. Now, if we talk about the history, so who built this temple? Which dynasty built this temple? So this temple was built by Sanjay dynasty. Please remember, this temple was built by Sanjay dynasty and it was built in 9th century. Please remember this. It was built by Sanjay dynasty in the 9th century. Yes. Now, next important thing is that this is declared as the UNESCO World Heritage Site. That's why it becomes more important from exam point of view. Next thing is about the religious significance. So, religious significance, see, just now we discussed that it is the largest Hindu temple complex in Indonesia. So, we must have the idea about the deity also. So, who is sitting here? So, it is dedicated to Hindu Trimurti, that is Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. So at least for exam, have a basic idea that this is a Hindu temple and who is the deity, and it is also UNESCO World Heritage Site. Which dynasty built it? So it was built by Sanjaya dynasty. Yes. Next very important thing which was given in the article, it was Tagore Devantara year, and Tagore Devantara year is declared for 2026-27. So please have a basic idea about the history. So when Prime Minister of India visited Indonesia, so that time it was decided that 2026-27 will be declared as Tagore Devantara year. So first of all, let's have the idea why it was done. So for see, in 1927, Rabindranath Tagore visited Indonesia. So 2026-27 will mark the centenary of this visit, because in 1927 it happened and it would be the 100th year. So that's why the name of Rabindranath Tagore. And Rabindranath Tagore focused on the value-based education, on the education which would be meaningful for human life. Now, second personality here is the Ki Hajar Devantara, and he is considered as the father of Indonesian education. That's why the second name Devantara. So here Rabindranath Tagore also focused on the meaningful education, and Ki Hajar Devantara is also he has also focused on the education in Indonesia. That's why in order to promote the cultural ties, educational ties, this year will be celebrated. 2026-27 will be considered as Tagore Devantara year. Yes, so I think we are done with this article. After that, next important article is about UDICE Plus. UDICE Plus, so basically its full form is Unified District Information System for Education Plus. So here, what will be the purpose of this UDICE Plus? Basically, UDICE is a database. It is a database under Ministry of Education, and this database will be containing data related to all the parameters through which you can measure the school education performance in India. So, for example, the report on teacher availability, student retention, gross enrollment ratio, etc., etc. Yes. So let's first of all discuss about UDICE Plus. So full form I already discussed that a full form is Unified District Information System for Education Plus. So it is nothing but a large database which is maintained by the Ministry of Education. So the database means it would be storing data, it would be retrieving data, and that data would be would be useful for some kind of analysis. What will be the objective? Collecting the data, supporting the evidence-based policy making. And why we are doing all these things? So that we can monitor the implementation of national education policy as well as Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, because national education policy and Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan have provided some kind of parameters, some kind of objectives, that what should be the ideal kind of education system in India. So why we are doing all these things? So that we can fully implement NEP 2020 as well as Samagra Shiksha. Now, I will be focusing on all the parameters which are discussed in the report. So if you want, you can note some of the important parameters which you can easily use in your mains examination. So here I would be discussing the major highlights, and wherever important, I would discuss some prelims related perspective also. Yes, so first important thing the report discusses is about the teachers. So the report says the number of teachers in school education have increased in India. So total number of teachers have reached to around 1 crore. So if you want to remember the data, you can remember just 1 crore. And if we talk about the percentage, so teachers percentage have increased by around 8%. So that is good thing for school education in India. Second important parameter is the pupil teacher ratio. So first of all, let's discuss what is pupil teacher ratio. Pupil teacher ratio, that means the student teacher ratio. It says that one teacher is having how many students for teaching. So basically it will discuss, so basically it represents that how many students are there for one teacher. So if we talk about the best practice, that ideally how many students should be there for one teacher, so it is 30:1. That means for one teacher 30 students must be there. But good thing is that the foundation courses, the middle or secondary school education are performing very good than this parameter. So if we talk about the foundational courses, foundational classes, so here we have 10 students for one teacher. In the middle school, we have 17, and in the secondary school, we have 21 students for one teacher. So actually, this is good thing, no? Because if for one teacher you are having less number of students, then the teacher would try to focus more on those students, right? Because for one teacher, if you have a lot of students, then teacher cannot focus on all the students. So actually, the what we can say, the performance on all the stages in school education is better than what is recommended by National Education Policy. So what it recommended? It recommended 30:1 ratio. Next good thing is the reduction in the dropout rate. Dropout rate means how many, what percentage of students are leaving the school. So here dropout rate have been declined in India, and that is very good thing. And more good thing is at secondary level the dropout rates have declined by around 7%. That means if dropout rate at secondary level is very low, that means more and more students would be going for graduation. Yes, next important parameter is the higher student retention. Higher student retention means less number of students are dropping out and more number of students are continuing for the higher classes. So here for the middle level we have around 84% retention, and for the secondary level schooling we have around 52% retention. Next very important thing is the improvement in the gross enrollment ratio. This is very important thing. So here at the secondary level, gross enrollment ratio have increased from around 69% to 72%. See, I will quickly discuss the concept about the gross enrollment ratio, because I think this thing can be asked in prelims also. If we talk about the gross enrollment ratio, so it is the ratio of two things. First thing, a gross enrollment ratio will be considering the all the number of students which are all the number of students which are enrolling under that part. So for example, it is primary education. So under the primary education, under the primary schooling category, how many number of students have enrolled, and it would be seen as a percentage of the number of students in that age, so number of children in that age category. So for example, in a particular area, if we talk about the secondary education, right, here I am talking about the secondary education. Yes, secondary education. So consider in a particular area the total number of, so for secondary education what will be the age group? So age group will be around 14 to 18 years. So consider in a particular area the children under 14 to 18 years are around 10 lakhs. Okay, so these are the total number of children under 14 to 18 years. Now consider the number of students which are going for the secondary education. Maybe consider those number of students are around 8.5 lakhs. So here what I am doing? Here I will be dividing 8.5 lakhs by 10 lakhs. So 8.5 lakhs are the number of children who have actually enrolled in the secondary education, and 10 lakhs is the total number of children who belong to 14 to 18 years. That means they must have been going to the secondary education. So here what will be the percentage? It will be 85%. And please note one more thing, that gross enrollment ratio can be more than 100% also. Why? Because here what we are seeing in the numerator, here underaged children can also come, overaged children can also come. For example, in a particular class, you would find the children who are born in 2000 also, you would find who were born in 1998, and also you would find some children who are born in 2002. So in same class, you would be finding the children of different age groups. That's why I am saying here I am considering that between 14 to 18 years, these number of students came. But in the secondary education, the students who are less than 14 years of age, who are more than 18 years of age, they can also be enrolled. That's why sometimes gross enrollment ratio can be around 100, more than 100% also. Yes. Next important thing which was given in the article was the better transition rate. Better transition rate means more and more students are moving from foundational to preparatory, then preparatory to middle, and finally middle to secondary education. Next is about the better digital infrastructure. So here the article says the availability of computers have increased to around 70% in the schools, and the internet access have also increased to around 67%. And same thing about the basic facilities, for example electricity, drinking water, girls and boys toilets, etc., etc., all these things have increased. If you want, you can write the data from this image. And finally the gender inclusion. So good thing about this is that gender inclusivity is there. So the female teachers, the percentage of female teachers is around 55% in India, and that is a good thing. And girls enrollment is also around 48%. Okay, so these were the basic findings of UDICE report. Yes, let's move to the next article. Yes, this important article is about Mission Drishti. So let's discuss the context first. See, Mission Drishti is the first privately launched satellite in India. So this Mission Drishti have some specific kind of objective. So if we talk about this, so this is India's largest privately developed Earth observation satellite. So what is the context? This Mission Drishti have recently lost the communication because of the solar storms. So see, for example, this was Mission Drishti, this was the satellite, and the scientists have launched the satellite. Now, after launching the satellite, we try to establish the communication with the satellite. We measure all the parameters, that how the altitude can be controlled, how the communication can be established, how to open the solar panels, all these things. So before all these things could have been done, Mission Drishti lost the communication from the ground station. What was the reason? Reason was the solar storms. Yes. So quickly let's discuss about the Mission Drishti. So please remember that Mission Drishti is India's largest privately developed Earth observation satellite. And what was that private company? Name of private company was the Galax I, which is a Bangalore-based space startup. So see, if we are saying that this is Earth observation satellite, so what is the main objective of Earth observation satellite? To observe various features on the Earth surface. For example, the forest cover, or the water resources, or the mineral resources, etc., etc. And for that, if that satellite have to observe the Earth, that means that satellite have to be near to the Earth, right? Because of that, mostly Earth observation satellites will be located in low Earth orbit. That means it would be around 400 to 600 kilometers from the Earth surface. So here, if we talk about the launch vehicle, that which vehicle launched, so it wasn't launched by any Indian vehicle. It was launched by SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Please remember this. Now, if we talk about some other aspects of this mission Drishti, so this is world's first opto SAR satellite, which will combine optical imaging as well as synthetic aperture radar. So see, please understand this. What is the meaning of optosar? Optosar, so first thing, see, just now we discussed that it is Earth observation satellite, right? So for observation, you would be needing the images, right? Based on images, you would observe the surface of the Earth. So to take the images, this satellite uses two kind of things. First will be the optical camera. So optical camera would be using the sunlight, and what all things are visible in the sunlight, it would be capturing those images. Now, in the conditions where there is a cloudy condition or when it is the night time, optical camera cannot be used. So in that condition, we would be using synthetic aperture radar or SAR. So how this SAR will work? Basically, synthetic aperture radar is a kind of remote sensing system. So what happens in remote sensing system? Under this, we would be sending various microwaves towards the surface of the Earth. And when these microwaves will be reflected from the surface of the Earth, when they will be reflected, so these waves which are reflected back, these would be used to generate the images of the Earth surface. So optical camera would be used during sunlight, synthetic aperture radar would be used during cloudy days, bad weather, or during the night time. So this is the meaning of optosar. So why this mission Drishti is important? Because this is world's first opto SAR satellite, and this satellite was launched by Indian startup. So this is very important. Yes. Next thing. Yes, so just now we discussed that what happened to Mission Drishti. This Mission Drishti lost its communication from the ground station. So it lost this communication during the phase of launch and early orbit phase. So what is this launch and early orbit phase? See, in the beginning I discussed, for example, this is your satellite, and consider this satellite is launched. So after satellite is launched, the scientists would be trying to establish the communication. They would be trying to measure all these things, whether everything is correct or not. So during that phase, the communication was lost. And who was responsible for losing the communication? It was the geomagnetic solar storm. So let's discuss about the geomagnetic solar storm. So see, basically, see this is the picture. This is the sun, and this we have solar flares as well as solar winds. That means the solar storm. So what happens in solar storms? Continuously, sun would be sending towards us the various amount of charged particles. For example, high energy protons or high energy electrons, or the different kind of charged ions. So because of all these particles present in the solar storms, many things can be disrupted on the earth's surface. So for example, satellites, GPS, radio communication, all these things can be disrupted. Now see, so what I'm saying, that all these charged particles are coming from the sun, and because of these charged particles, things can be disrupted in the Earth's atmosphere and above the Earth's atmosphere. But now you can ask one question, that we already know that Earth has its own natural protective shield, and name of that shield is the Earth's magnetic field. So this we can consider that at the poles, solar particles can easily reach the Earth's surface. But how these solar particles can enter from any other surface from the Earth's magnetic field? That means how they can affect the satellite if we have the Earth's magnetic field around the Earth. So the answer for this is that if we talk about this magnetic field as a natural shield, so 90% of the solar particles can be obstructed or deviated by this magnetic field. But few of the particles which are of very high energy, they can penetrate this magnetic field. And when they penetrate this magnetic field, they will obstruct the functioning of satellites or the GPS systems in any country. Next thing is, for example, we are the human lives on the earth, right? So why human lives are not affected by the solar storms? Because human life is protected by two layers. First layer is of atmosphere, and second layer is of magnetic field. But if we talk about the satellites, mostly satellites are above the earth's atmosphere, right? Because even the low earth orbit is at around 400 to 600 kilometers, which is beyond Earth's atmosphere. So satellites have only one layer of protection, that is the magnetic field. But human lives have two layers of protection. That's why we as humans don't experience this impact of solar wind. So yes, I think you understood all these things. Now, next important article is about Himalayan pangolin. So here the news is that based on a new study, it was found that Himalayan pangolin is a distinct species and not a subspecies of Chinese pangolin. So please remember this. See, earlier what we used to think, if we talk about the pangolin species in India, so what we discussed earlier, that India has two type of pangolins. First is the Indian pangolin, and second is the Chinese pangolin. So if we talk about the distribution of Indian pangolins, so they are found on in diverse vegetations, in diverse habitats, but they are just not found in the foothills of Western Himalayas as well as Northeast Himalayas. So apart from these Himalayan region, Indian pangolin would be found in a different kind of regions. If we talk about the Chinese pangolins, so they would be found near the foothills of Himalayas and in the northeastern region. So earlier we considered all these type of pangolins as one category, that is the Chinese pangolin. So the pangolins which are found near the foothills of Western Himalayas as well as the pangolins in the Northeast India, all these pangolins we would consider as the Chinese pangolin. But according to a recent study, the pangolins which are found in the Western Himalayas, they are completely different from the pangolins which are found in the Northeast region or the Southeast Asia. So this is the news. So here, what had happened? Why did it become a separate species? So see, this is the story why it became a separate species. So consider, before few million years ago, there were ancestors. Yes, just a second. Yes. So here consider few million years ago there were ancestors of pangolins, and these ancestors divided the population into two groups, and those two groups were of western Himalayan population, and second group was eastern China as well as Southeast Asia population. Understood what happened? Few million years ago the ancestors of pangolin, they got separated into two groups. One group went to western Himalaya, second group went to eastern China and Southeast Asia. But so this kind of separation is known as allopatric speciation. So let's understand what is allopatric speciation. So see, just now we discussed the ancestors got separated into western Himalayas as well as northeast India. But what happened? They got separated, right? But there was a geographical barrier between them. So because of this geographical barrier, this population never met among themselves. Since they never met, there was no interbreeding, and since the isolation was for long period of time, so they developed a different kind of genetic characteristics. That's why these two kind of population differ a lot. So here, what were the geographical barriers? For example, because of Himalayan mountains, because of Brahmaputra river system, these two populations, which were separated from their ancestors, they never met because of all these kind of barriers. So here now what researchers have said, researchers have recommended that you must categorize this new pangolin, this Himalayan pangolin under Appendix 1 of CITES. And why they are recommending this? Because if we talk about pangolins, so this is one of the largest poached animal, largest poached mammal. So it is hunted for its scales or meat, etc. So scientists are recommending that if you put this Himalayan pangolin under Appendix 1 of CITE, so the illegal trade of pangolins can be prohibited. So that would be good thing to protect the population. Now let's discuss some of the prelims related points about the pangolins. So please remember that pangolins are the scaly ant eater mammals. So as you can see, everywhere on its body it have scales. So they are the scaly ant eater mammals, and these scales are composed of the keratin. So keratin is important for different kind of drugs. So because of that also it is poached and it is being hunted. Next thing is, if we talk about the diet, so it is an insectivorous animal and it is nocturnal animal. That means it would be active during night time. Now, if we discuss some of the differences between Indian as well as Chinese pangolin, so Indian pangolin, the body of the Indian pangolin would be some kind of rough because of this kind of scales. And if we talk about the Chinese pangolin, so there would be some kind of smoothness in the body. Now, if we discuss about the habitat, so in the Indian pangolin, in beginning only I discussed that Indian pangolin would be found in variety of habitats. Just it won't be found near the Himalayas or the northeastern region. And in these regions where Indian pangolins are not found, in these regions Chinese pangolins would be found. But under this article, what we discussed that now Western Himalayan pangolins are completely different from the Chinese pangolins. So please remember this. Now, what are the threats for the pangolin? So, first threat is for the hunting and poaching, right? For the meat or for the keratin or different kind of drugs, this animal will be hunted or poached. So, it is believed to be world's most trafficked animal in the world. If we talk about the conservation status, so Indian pangolin are considered as endangered, as well as Chinese pangolin are considered as critically endangered. So, please remember this. Yes. So practice question for you. The question is gross enrollment ratio refers to first percentage of children completing the school, second ratio of teachers to students, third enrollment at a given level of education as a percentage of official school age population, and last percentage of students passing the examinations. Next, which of the following best describes the allopatric speciation? The first is formation of species due to hybridization. Second, formation of species due to artificial selection. Third is formation of species due to geographical isolation. And final, formation of species by chromosome doubling. So these are the two practice questions for you. Try to answer in the comment section. So that's all from my side for today. Thank you and have a nice day.